Well, we're back with some more rust repair on the 442. Stick around. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage, and we are doing rust repair on the 442. I've got our internal panel welded in here. Not the prettiest thing because I had a decent sized gap up here to get, but she ain't going anywhere. She's solid. I like it. And we went in and sprayed this down with some rust reformer before we welded this in. We're going to follow that up with some reformer and seal, the Duplicolor 2-in-1, and I'm just going to kind of hit these areas where the welds are to get something on the welds. I'm not going to worry about getting on the outside seam where I'm going to be putting something else on there and welding that up, because I want to try and keep it clean. Actually, I can hit that, and then if I go in there with a wire brush after I drill holes, but I still need to smooth this thing out to get spot welds and stuff like that. So I'm just going to focus on kind of the area right here right now so we have protection. Simple as that. Now we don't have to worry about these welds. And on the inside, we're going to be going in. I think we'll probably end up using lizard skin on the inside, so the inside will also get hit. But if I want to, I could go ahead and spray some of this stuff on here. This is the rubberized stuff. I would probably not put that on anywhere that I was planning on coming back and painting over it again. But for areas like this that I'm not going to hit now that we're done, it's great. The rubberized stuff, we're going to use it. We're using standard rust reformer in other locations where we are doing work. And so, as I said, I hit all of this with rust reformer. That's what this black stuff is here. And then I found that once you get your holes drilled for your spot welds, you can put a small wire brush right in that hole, hit it, and that'll clean that up enough to get your spot weld started. And that's what I did on a lot of the spot welds for this side over here. So now that we've got this kind of out of the way, we need to clean up our spot welds and start prepping for our panel, our outside panel, so we can button up this side of the car. Trying these new Diablo, however you want to say it, flap discs that have the built-in screw on it. I have found that even the ones without the built-in screw have been very good. They stand up a little bit longer than the cheaper ones. You get more work out of them. Overall, they're just a little bit better. This pan is going to need a little bit of shaping, but I think we can come in here, go ahead, drill holes for some spot welds all the way down this seam, across the top, then down in here, so we can get this thing kind of ready to mount. The only spot that I see that might need some massaging is this corner up top here. Vevor, hit me up, and listen, whenever Vevor emails me, I'm all about it. It doesn't matter what they want to send, I just say yes, because my pneumatic jack over here that they sent me is one of my favorite things in the garage nowadays. And so they said, hey, how about something to help keep the garage a little clean, a little organized? And I said, yeah, let's do it. And so they sent me an electric spool, you know, the kind, oh god dang, it's heavy, for an extension cord. Jeez. You don't have to worry about build quality with these guys. I tell you what, if you have not checked out Vevor.com, they are kind of my favorite go-to place for tools, parts, stuff like that. They have tools for everything. Automotive, you know, industrial. You can get margarita machines if you're crazy enough, things like this. Thing has like a 4.5 foot lead whip on it, has a built-in breaker. I want to say for this one it's a 13 amp breaker. It's either a 13 or a 15 based on the size. And we've got a cool little mounting bracket that this thing is going to slip down into. So as I said, that's not where these screws, it comes with 4 of them to put in these side brackets, but they're just long enough that I think they'd poke through the board on the back side and get into the concrete and not run all the way down tight. So these holes are here for a stop. If you were to ceiling mount this thing, you can run a stop in there to keep it from sliding out of the bracket. But since we're wall mounting it, not too worried about that. Haha. I can get rid of this extension cord, which has been my go-to for forever and a day. And plug this one in right here. I put it behind the wall. And there we go. Problem solved. Now I got 50 foot of extension cable. That easy. Thanks, Vevor. Check the link in the description. I will put a link to this product and a discount code. You know, check it out. Go to vevor.com. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wipe everything down with some acetone. That way, once we get this up into place, if we get it aligned good, running some self-tappers in there and stuff. Crap, just lost the lid of my acetone. It's halfway underneath the car. Essentially, we'll be ready to go. I was using cutting oil for drilling these holes to help manage the heat and just get them to cut a little bit quicker. So I want to make sure and get all that up, or else it'll cause an issue whenever we go to weld. Don't weld with an open can of acetone nearby. I know it goes without saying. In fact, let me grab a clamp. That'd probably be a good spot to start. Get that seam lined up good. I need to add clamps to my shopping list. I don't really have any clamps for doing this. Okay, that's pretty good. Burn that spot in right there. Yeah. I want to get these panels nice and tight before we burn these spot welds in. Essentially, we want to try to minimize our gaps as much as possible. Okay, so now that that side's kind of in place, we can work on hammering this down up here, get those looking good, and then we can also, I think we got a pretty good spot that we can hit right up top also, where the screw is holding it down. Let's go ahead and do it. Man, I'm so ready to have my device turned on. It's going to make welding so much better. Back this screw out now. And as you can see, there's some gap up here that we're going to have to take care of. We're going to have to, you know, get this hammered up, get this sucked down. But we've got no gap here on the corner. This edge needs to be hammered and cleaned up. You can see where it gets really wonky down in there. So we'll clean all this up and start bringing it over like so. So as an example, if we were to bring this piece over to about right here. Come on. Let's go pliers. Okay. We'll see if I can run a self-tapper in up here to pull this in. essentially all we're doing now is making this panel conform to the factory. Okay, so that pulled up good. I can tack that. I've got good spots right here where the panels are up tight. That's where I drilled that hole, that first hole. Now this side's not as tight, so I'm going to see if I can run a screw in there. Maybe if I run one in that middle hole, it'll tighten it up. Then I can hit the two holes beside it. Well, come on. Okay, that actually pulled the metal, that pulled the bottom panel up towards us. So it's a lot better on that hole now. Still not happy with that one. That one might need to be hammered down a little bit yet. Okay, got good spot welds across the top here. Said we're still going to need to massage this corner a bit. It's getting closer, as you can see. It's not going to be perfect, but that's what seam sealer's for. Seam sealer will come in here. We'll seal all that up. We'll come down around here, put seam sealer like the factory had it. I don't know if we'll be able to really see. Most of it's probably been wire brushed off over on this side, but you can see where they had seam sealer all the way down. We'll do the same thing, make it nice and clean. I've already gotten all this seam sealer out of here, kind of in preparation for this job. Probably next I need to see if I can push this over some more, get it clamped down, and run a couple beads on this side. So maybe if I can get in here and honestly, I don't know if that's going to go any further. It's pretty tight on that side, so let's just get the metal close together for spot welding it. And I'll probably have to come in here and clamp all of these holes to get them squeezed together good to make sure that we don't have a big gap on our spot welds. But, you know, take your time. You want to do it right the first time. I think I want to hammer this part down before I attempt these, because I want some flexibility kind of through there if possible. I think my best bet's going to be to go ahead and tack that spot up there and then kind of beat this into shape once it's tacked. It's looking pretty good. So I'm going to try and push on this and get this tack going. Pretty good. Now to move around to this front seam, and we want to make sure that we get this thing squeezed down good so this lip comes around, which it's look like it's going to pretty easily. It's pretty thin here, so let's tighten this down. It needs to be tighter than that. pliers are putting some pinches in this sheet metal. So I'll use this spoon, kind of space it out some. Keep from distorting the metal. Yeah, this spot I'm going to need to pull in quite a bit. Okay, so I need to get this panel pushed back up in there and run a self-tapper to hold it in place. May have to hammer it up in there. Oh, there we go. That's much better. I think I can probably get away with just clamping it now. Kind of popped into place where it needs to be. I need to hit these holes with the wire brush, not getting continuity on them. Okay, they're burning in much better now that I ran the wire brush on them. I cleaned them holes out. Yeah, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. I just need to do, I don't know if you can see down there. Okay, I just need to do one patch, small one down here that connects this up to here. The piece that was on there didn't fit up right, so be a little bit wonky compared to the factory setup, but we'll box that in, get it nice and clean, and then this side will officially be done. As I said, we'll need to come in here and kind of hammer this out, clean this up a little bit. We'll come back in, smooth these welds out since they're going to be visible. Panel seam it whenever we get ready before we paint. We'll go ahead and put some seal seam in it. For the most part though, everything pulled up good. The only spot that's a little bit iffy is back here, but that's just kind of the way the panel is designed out. And I didn't want to beat this panel up any more than it needed. Try to keep it looking as clean as possible. You won't see most of this. You know, your fenders come up into this area. Your hood line's going to be down through here, and the hoods on these come all the way up past here. So this stuff for the most part will be hidden. But we know that the rust is gone. It's nice and cleaned up. Should last us, you know, for the rest of the car's life now. We can also go in and probably what we'll do is put some seam seal on the inside, but we also are looking at using some chassis wax or some frame wax. You know, it sprays and self-heals and gets into crevices really well. We have easy access from inside the car to get to the back side of these, and so I don't know, cavity wax or seam seal, we'll get this all seamed up good, as I said, to make sure that this never happens again. So that's kind of our first rust repair, and it was one of the more in-depth ones as far as the front goes. The other side has way less rust on it, be a lot quicker fix over there. We're only replacing about this much of it. We're not doing the whole panel. But I tell you what, getting this much done, man, life feels good right now. Getting, you know, knocking out small things like this, and this is by no means small. This is a monumental task for most garage guys like us. They're doing this at home by ourselves. This is a monumental task. Getting something like this knocked out puts light at the end of the hallway for us to strive towards. So seeing that we can get this stuff fixed up and looking good, it really motivates you to go to the next step and the next step and the next step. Remember, man, just like tuning, this is like eating an elephant. You got to take it in small bites. If you try to tackle everything all at once, it becomes instantly overwhelming. So, you know, kind of look at what you've got going on, section it off into smaller chunks and approach it that way. I really want to get these fronts done so I can focus on the firewall and the front of the frame. You know, we'll come back in, we're going to strip the frame down, coat it with POR. We will have to remove some more stuff like fuel lines, brake lines, and stuff like that, so we can do our frame strengthening kit in there. We'll want to try and get that done here soon, which means I need to get the car higher up in the air so I can get underneath it easier. And then we can get the front of the frame painted up, start hanging suspension components on it. And even if it just looks good from this point forward, it motivates us from this point back. You know, we get excited about this portion of it. That gets us excited about this portion of it. There's a lot of work to be done from this point back still. You know, a couple weeks worth, couple months worth maybe. So we're going to do what we can to keep the ball rolling, to keep building steam on this project, to keep motivation going. So hit up the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any tips or tricks for doing some of this stuff. I am by no means an expert. As I said, there are experts out on YouTube that you can watch do this stuff. I want to show you guys that you can do it, because a lot of you guys are like me. You don't do stuff like this every day. Watching the guys that do stuff like this every day, I understand, is a little bit overwhelming. Same ordeal whenever we get into tuning. But you can do it. I'm here to tell you, you can do it. Don't hesitate, dive in, and remember, ABT, always be tuning.